Good afternoon, John O'Flaherty, the B3 burner. And once again, it's February 8th. And February 8th, you know, is when we traditionally do our State of the Cadillac once a year. It now being the fifth time I've done this, started February 8th, 2021, 3 days after getting the car up here and having it delivered to me on February 5th. So why are we in the garage instead of the church parking lot? Well, to make a long story short, the car doesn't run right now. I'm getting a low oil pressure warning light on the dashboard, and the engine was ticking when I started it. It kind of sounded like a tapping sound, almost like valve sounds. It's not a good sound. That means oil's not getting to the engine for whatever reason. And I checked the oil, and there's plenty of oil in the car. So I asked Mike, my mechanic, to have a look at it. He said that somebody had made a mistake with the low oil light sensor, and the ticking went away when I took the car, so I thought everything was fine. And that would have been about late December, I think. And then January 25th, Saturday of this year, I went and took the car to the Turlock swap meet. And it was fine in the morning, but when I went to leave, there was no ticking sound. But while I was leaving the swap meet, the the low oil pressure light came on the dashboard. And I thought, that's odd. There's nothing wrong with the running of the car, but it's probably not a good idea to drive on it like this. So I pulled into the nearest shopping center, parked the car in an open area, and left it alone. Again, I checked the oil level on the dipstick and it was fine. I just refilled it the day before, Friday, January 24th. So then I called AAA because I wanted the car towed back to my house. I wasn't taking any chances. From that point, I went to restart the car and try it, and then came the ticking sound with the light on. Then at some other point, while trying to get it onto the tow truck and position it, the ticking sound was on, but the light was off. So this car has been sitting in the garage 2 weeks. Meanwhile, let's go over the priorities, the obvious one, plus where we're at and what has been accomplished in the past year. Okay, here's the right side of the car. Sorry we can't get the whole car in here. I'm working on this in the garage. Garage door's closed, it's nice and quiet. But anyway, let's do a quick pan from back to front, and I'll show you the hood springs in a little bit. Let's go over what's been done and what has yet to be done. Things fixed. The hood springs, I need to cross that off. It said still to be installed by Mitch. Has been installed by Mitch as of November 9th, 2024. And I had repainted those myself in, should say, March 2021. So that was almost 4 years in the making. Really no excuse for that. Finally got done. And the leaking manifold and valve cover gaskets, that was a high priority, and that was completed, as you can see here, in August 2024. So two very important things that I had highlighted February 8th of last year, 2024, and that's good. Now the bad news, things that still need to be fixed. I had my usual suspects, the rear window regulator, the heater, the radio replacement, the antenna fix, and the cruise control fix, all very low priorities down there. But all of a sudden, what came to rear its ugly head, you know, like Godzilla taking over Tokyo, was the low oil pressure warning light. The problem surfaced in December, was what we thought was fixed, and resurfaced in late January. And now it's February, we still have the problem. We got the light. What does the light mean? Idiot lights don't tell you much. They just tell you to stop driving the car the moment they come on. That's what that basically means. It's a bright red light, you can't miss it. That's all I could gain from it. I don't have a gauge to tell me what my oil pressure was. Pull over and stop the car and turn off the engine immediately. It could be an oil pressure sending unit, something I think that's relatively inexpensive, I hope. Or it could be as much as the engine has seepage, and I know the oil's still leaking despite the fact that we did the leaking manifold and valve cover gaskets. It still leaks. So the oil's leaking from somewhere else. Maybe it's leaking from a place where where pressure is escaping. If it's low oil pressure due to something wrong with the engine, then it might require an engine rebuild. But anyway, let's be positive and not get too far down the rabbit hole as far as guessing what that is. We don't know. Number 2, the rear window regulator bushings. That's a medium priority. We had wanted to get that done last year. Window regulator bushings for the rear quarter windows. This over here. What happens is it rolls down, but rolls down crooked, and then you can uncrooked it, but it still comes back up semi-crooked and won't go all the way back up. You don't want to put them down, because if you get them stuck down, and heaven forbid you have to drive in the rain, that's going to be a problem. It's not a high priority because the car can be driven with the back windows permanently up. It's just this whole area here opens up, and this faux B-pillar that's not really a B-pillar rolls all the way down, and all this is open, which is the classic look of a hard top. And I miss being able to do that, because I could do that with the 68 Galaxy and I could do that with the 70 LTD. And I can do it with this car, but just not yet. The heater needs to be hooked back up to the core. Hardly a priority in the summer, but I could have used it January 25th when it was really cold outside before the sun rose, but the core may be damaged. Okay, the heater core, if I'm not mistaken, is against the firewall, probably where this, I don't want to run it out of focus with my finger there, but where there's no pipe connected. And I had it disconnected because basically when I had the air conditioning fixed, I wanted the heater core disconnected so that the poor AC didn't have to compete against latent heat constantly blowing through the floor vents. But when it's freezing cold, like it was when I went to the Turlock swap meet, it would have been nice to have it. So if there's a way to direct engine, have the heater core hooked up, but when the air conditioning is on, not have the latent heat from the engine come through the core, but stop it so that only the air conditioner comes through, or vented outside air comes through. When it's warmer, it stops the heater core from sending the heat. Only in the winter, when it's cold outside, do I want the heater core to send that heat through the floorboards or through the medium level vents or the defroster vents above the dashboard. It's a medium priority. Okay, earlier, like I think around 2021 or 22, I went down the deep rabbit hole of trying to refurbish and fix and repair the existing Cadillac radio that's been in the car since 1973. And all I had was some fool charge me to tell me that basically he can't do anything. But I hear you can get a retrofitted radio designed to look like a classic period correct radio for the car, and it can be outfitted with an MP3 jack and all the special doodads that bring its features up to the 21st century, but the look remains of old. So that's a nice low priority item, number 4, radio replacement with classic looking radio. And then if we're going to fix the radio, then the antenna fix, number 5, doesn't go up and down. And you can see the antenna right there. Well, you see all my signage in the background, but there it is. Special Cadillac feature, the radio antenna is supposed to go up and down by itself when you turn the radio on and off. It's stuck in the up position, which I guess I'd rather it be that way, so when I get the radio fixed, it's already up so it can receive radio transmissions as opposed to being stuck in the down position. But even if I get the radio to work, it's still low priority so long as it stays up. But if you want it Cadillac correct, yeah, of course, it would be nice if it went down. And finally, the cruise control fix. Cruise control, that may be pretty hard to find a cruise control unit for a 73 just off the cuff. Could be difficult. So it's a very low priority, but it would be nice if it worked. But none of that seems important so long as the low oil pressure light is on. All these things have nothing to do with the running of the car, but the extremely high priority low oil pressure warning light, I can't drive it or move it anywhere. Next, we're going to have a look at the new hood hinges. Okay, I'm trying to brighten this up as much as I can. I won't insult your intelligence too much. It's a hood hinge. Ooh, I like that sound. Nice and solid. The important thing about the hood hinges was getting them situated so that they acted and performed better than the old ones. The old ones were rusted, and not rusted to the point where they were structurally dangerous, just rusted to the point where the hood would not open and close smoothly. Which reminds me, even the new hood hinges need to be lubricated. I was warned that I'm going to run into the same problem if I don't lubricate these hood hinges. Just because we got a good start on them and they were freshly installed doesn't mean that the hinge points, the pinch points where there's movement, hinged movement, don't need a lubrication. Somebody told me to put straight motor oil. I was using garage door lubricant, and I have a feeling that maybe is a little too thin and really wasn't effective. The best thing about these hood hinges is they haven't been worn out too much. They were obviously on another car. I picked them up in a salvage yard, so they're not new old stock by any stretch of the imagination. But I lovingly repainted them so that you can't see the rust on them, and they look new old stock, even if they're not. So this is the one on the passenger side, and the one that's the driver's side looks just as good. So it was a project that I had started back in March of 21, and it took almost 4 years to get it on the car. Got it on the car in November 9th, 2024. So in conclusion, I'd like to say that we have some priorities and some not so priorities. We have something that just cropped up that has turned into priority A number 1, the ultimate priority, extreme, because we can't run the car without getting that fixed. And in the meantime, everything else takes a back seat. Sorry I wasn't able to show you the car in its usual inverends out by either of the churches I've gone to, or even out in the driveway, and that we had to do this in the garage. Hopefully we get this fixed. We can address the other priorities for 2025. Maybe the rear window regulator bushings, if I can source them at Caddy. and maybe get the heater hooked back up again. We shall see. Let me say one more thing about the radio. The ability to not fix, but replace the radio is only as good as the speakers work. I don't know if the front speakers are working properly or not. We wouldn't know it until we hooked up a radio to it. So there's a lot of questions about that. But so that's February 8th, 2025. Hello, John O'Flaherty with an update. It's a month later, March 8th, and the car is running again. You know what it turned out to be? The oil pump. And so we got that fixed. Mechanic went and fixed it. Took a while to get the part in, and it had to it was parts to rebuild the original one, but got the car back this past Thursday. So let me show you in the handbook what this looks like. So we look in the Cadillac shop manual, 1973. And what we find is a diagram for the engine. And we'll specifically look at this. The reason we're looking at this is I open the hood and you're not going to be able to see in the dark what the oil pump is. It's down below and you can't really see it very well, but here's a cutout of the engine. Imagine that this is the right side facing us. The left side is back that way, facing that way. This is the front of the engine. This is the back of the engine. This, I believe, is the oil filter. And the oil pump is up inside. Yeah, you're not going to see it. It's just this tiny little thing, I think. I thought it was a big honking thing on the outside of the engine. It's apparently really small, but it probably has some internal parts to it. I don't know where it would be here, but they pointed it out over here. The connecting rod oil supply holes, the oil intake screen assembly, pumps the oil. You can see the arrows move this way through, I guess, the oil filter, and then up into the engine to lubricate. Anyway, that was the problem with the car and why the oil light was coming on. So there we go. That's the situation there, and now the car is drivable again. So I had it out on the road and it drove fine. No red light came on the way home. And we have a few more good days before it rains next week. So maybe I'll take it out. We'll do this again next year, 2026, rain or shine. If it's raining, we'll do it in the garage again. If it's shining, we'll pick an empty parking lot, as we always have. I'm John O'Flaherty, the B3 Burner, and you have a nice day.